Good morning, everybody. Dr. Duc Vuong here, world famous bariatric surgeon. I want to talk about why, if you've already had COVID, should you get vaccinated? If so, when? If not, why not? Right? So, first of all, comment if you know someone like this. I have a friend who's a up and coming UFC fighter who caught COVID, and he doesn't want to get vaccinated because he said, "Well, I've already had it, so I'm good." All right. So, tip number one is you're not good. You're not good. So we know for a fact now, this is not allegations, it's not hearsay. We have very well documented cases of people who caught COVID twice, at least twice, right? So we heard early rumors like in South Korea and stuff like that, but now we have documented cases of people catching COVID twice. Now, we also have well-documented cases. This is next tip. We have confirmed cases of people dying on the second time. So they survived the first COVID, and then they died on the second COVID. So that is confirmed. And I'll talk about that, why that is here in a second. So in those cases, because they were so unusual, they looked at the genetic sequencing of the viruses that they could culture. And every single time, the person who caught COVID twice caught a different strain of it. So, in other words, their immune response, this is the next tip. Why should you get COVID? Why should you get vaccinated? The immune response that first time was not robust enough to fight off the second strain. Now the strain is like, it's still it's still coronavirus. Your body should recognize it, even though if there's any mutations, variants, whatever, we'll talk about variants later, but it shouldn't be so different. It's not so different that your body wouldn't recognize it, right? But for whatever reason, in these patients, they caught it twice. Okay, so if you've had COVID, should you get vaccinated? The answer is I would. I'm not going to tell you what to do. So apparently some people get really bugged and bothered when I try to have common sense with them. But sometimes, man, sometimes you just can't reason with some people. So if they want to take that chance, then okay. But just know we now have very well documented, confirmed cases that people have caught COVID twice. And we have confirmed cases that people have died the second time. They survived it the first time, they died the second time. So next tip was that for whatever reason, having COVID does not give you the same immune response. So the next tip is when you get vaccinated, the way it's designed and how your body reacts to it, the dosing, gives you a much more robust immune response when it sees it again. The vaccination process allows your body to build a much more complex memory cell, B cells, memory T cells. So that way, when you're exposed to the virus the second time, the next time, it more quickly responds. So, as a reminder, vaccinations don't prevent you from actually catching the virus. The virus is SARS-CoV-2. The disease is COVID-19. But what it does is prevent you 94% efficacy. 94% of the time, if you catch the virus, SARS-CoV-2, 94% of the time you do not develop COVID, the disease. That's what vaccination does for you. If you are vaccinated and you do develop COVID, those 6% of people, none of them died. None of them were even hospitalized. So you have a much milder case of COVID than if you weren't vaccinated. Does that make sense? So let me take you to the next thing, Dr. Vuong. But what about these variants and vaccinations? So, if there are variants, then what's the point of getting vaccinated, et cetera, et cetera? Variants are the very reason why you need to get vaccinated, because the more that we allow coronavirus case numbers out there, so like US currently is down to, today, it's important to tell the date, right? So today's May 13th. I forget my days. And we're about 40,000 cases a day. India is still 400,000 cases a day. Their 4,100 deaths. Their number of deaths is going to go up because it's always lags by a couple of weeks, right? Brazil is still doing 60,000 cases a day. Argentina is still in trouble. Europe is coming over this last wave. But as long as we have all of this virus, the more viruses out there, the more mutations happen, and that's how you end up with variants, right? And currently, I mean, the virus has had some, last time I looked at it, it was like 40,000 different mutations. That freaks people out. But don't worry about it, because most of those mutations don't even change. I'll give you an example. Let's say a book, like a big book, like a War and Peace, right? You know, huge book, 700 pages or whatever. You know, thousands of words. If you mistype one letter, you know, you type the T instead of an S, it's still War and Peace, right? It doesn't change the essential nature of the book. Much like if a virus has one little mutation, one little, you know, change, it's not going to be significant enough to change the virus. So currently there are four recognized variants of concern. So I'll just state them from the way they were, because most people know them as where they were discovered, right? So the UK variant that was discovered in UK, South African variant that made the South African go crazy, Brazilian variant, which is still struggling with Brazil right now, and now the Indian variant from India, and that's what's ravaging India right now, right? The LA variant in Los Angeles, the New York variant in New York wasn't different enough, so it's not as concerning. It's too close to the UK variant. So yes, you might need a booster shot, right? Why do I need to get vaccinated if I'm just gonna have to? Is this one? You know, tell me if we're gonna have to do this every year. How the fuck? Like, I can't predict the future. Like, what's wrong with you? That's not a reason to not get vaccinated. Of course you might need a booster. And you'll definitely need a booster if we don't get this thing under fucking control. Do you understand the lack of reasoning, the lack of knowledge that people have? Like, I just don't understand it. Like, oh, I'm not going to get vaccinated because you'll just need another one next year. Well, that's the fucking thinking that's going to make you need another one next year. If we had just driven these case numbers down, then we'd have one vaccine, we'd be done. But no, we've got a bunch of cases. You're going to develop more and more variants. So that means that you're more likely going to need a booster or another shot or another whatever. But that's the world we live in, man. That's just the way it is. So as a wrap up, remember, if you've already had COVID, you're still at risk to catch COVID again. And you're also at risk for dying from COVID, because we've had that happen. So it is highly recommended, highly encouraged to go ahead and get vaccinated if you've already had COVID. Now, there's a question gets asked, like, how long should you wait? Is it 90 days, etc.? Some people think 90 days, but quite honestly now, because we're in the middle of this, like, the current recommendation is you should not pass up an opportunity to be vaccinated. So, you know, once you're starting to feel all right, you know, it's been a couple of weeks, you're feeling almost back to normal, go ahead and get vaccinated. You'll be okay. That's the current recommendation, is to not wait, right? All right, that's it for my talk today. I go live every day in May at this same time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, to talk all things COVID, but I'll also talk about the upcoming financial crash that we're starting to see the last couple of days. And I'll talk some gardening. I'll talk whatever the fuck I want to talk about. But I'll see you tomorrow, same time. You guys have a great, amazing day.